Hey, my name's Greyson Peltier, and welcome to How to Be a Better Amberlynn Reid Hater. All right, so after my last video, I got some requests for some more practical suggestions on how to engage with Amberlynn Reid in a way that would be more beneficial to her based upon some of the frameworks that I stated during the video. So today I'm going to give you the first part of this, which is going to be reaction management. Basically, managing your own reaction and knowing what kind of reaction, as far as what type of emotional state or affect could theoretically be appropriate in a given situation. It's not an absolute measure of anything. It's just a way of knowing whether or not you should consider a certain level of escalation. One thing I've noticed a lot in Amberlynn Reid comments is that when Amberlynn Reid does things that are kind of neutral, like they're not specifically for weight, they're not specifically for health or for mental health, there's always like this deluge of bad feedback of like, you need to be doing weight stuff, you need to be doing things for your weight, you shouldn't be showing this. This is stupid. This is ridiculous. And then it just sends you to a level of very highly sort of insulting comments based upon nitpicking rather than based upon substance. So if you want to avoid this, you want to actually get to a point where you're starting to, instead of just kind of poking fun at her, and you want to try to help her in her situation, there are ways of doing that. There are ways of handling your reaction to a particular video that will facilitate that versus repel it. In this case, where you're just hating on something that's relatively neutral, you're actually repelling it because that actually dissuades trust, because then you make the person feel like they're being pushed out, and even minor things in their own life they can't control, that you are asking them to sort of cede control to you or cede control to the collective mass of commenters over something relatively minor. So question number one that I would ask myself before commenting on an Amberlynn Reid video is this thing that I'm seeing here, if I were to see somebody who I view as being relatively morally virtuous at an average level, but still respectable, but not like at like a really high level, not like somebody who is, for example, if you're a Christian, somebody who's in your small group at church. If you saw somebody who's in your small group at church doing this thing, would you consider it to be morally objectionable? Then from that, if the answer is yes there, if you would consider it to be morally objectionable, then you have a bit of license to be a bit morally outraged. But then you need to kind of get to the next part of thinking through what is best going to ameliorate the situation and what the cause is. But then after that, if that's a no, you're like, then the next thing to do is, in the context of the situation that the given person is in this case, Amberlynn Reid, is it particularly or extremely harmful in the imminent context to that person? So first question is the level of if somebody who was morally good to you did this, and it's not Amberlynn Reid, it's this other person here on the side who did this. This is specific to, is this harmful for Amberlynn Reid, or is it part of a pattern that would establish immoral behavior? And then if that's a yes, then you may want to use a tinge of moral outrage, but not very much. And again, you want to then go and also think about causes there. And then after that, if that question is actually in either of those two cases, whether it's a yes or a no, then you want to ask yourself, this is not a yes or no, but what exactly are the things that you found to be objectionable? Just kind of list them out try to list them without emotions, like this particular component, that particular component, and then rate on a scale of how significant it is from about 1 to 10. So you can kind of see what's significant, what's not significant. And then you want to think about what would somebody who just heard about the situation, just heard the facts, and didn't have the emotional kind of attachment that you have, which I see that a lot with like Amberlynn Reid fans. There's a lot of emotional attachment, which this happens to any form of entertainment. Game of Thrones. People are pissed off about Game of Thrones. So somebody who's kind of detached from it, if they heard the same fact pattern, how would they rank the level of how problematic it is as far as harm and as far as morality is concerned on a scale of 1 to 10. And then from there, you kind of learn to sort of working through this process, you kind of learn, okay, this isn't too big of a deal. Instead of just reacting like, oh, that pisses me off. That makes me feel bad. I don't like seeing her doing that. I don't like her seeing her buy journals. I don't like her. If you work through these questions, you kind of start to naturally arrive at a different idea of how this person should be behaving. Because you want to give them the same relative, as long as it's not harmful, you want to give somebody who is considered less morally virtuous the same level of agency as someone who's not moral, who's not as, you want to give them basically the same level of agency until you have a reason to withdraw that agency and a good substantive reason to withdraw that agency. And even then, you have to learn how to kind of finesse things a bit more. But working through those questions, you kind of get that idea of how bad is this, and then how am I going to respond to it. Now, the next trick in formulating comment is looking for the positive and then stating that first, and then what you want, and then kind of redirecting it, kind of shifting things a little bit. You don't stop the thing from rolling. You nudge it in a slightly different direction so that it doesn't feel that reaction of like that hard stop reaction. It feels like it's still going somewhere. It's still going in the way it wants to go, except that it's just being kind of gently nudged that way. But that's a topic for another video. This was just to cover that sort of process there, and hopefully it helps you to kind of better process how you should be responding to Amberlynn Reid in a way that's more beneficial to Amberlynn, to everybody involved. If you want to just hate, if you want to just kind of poke fun, make it sort of a comedy show, then probably what I said didn't interest you within the first minute or two. But if you're looking to kind of help her, I think asking yourself some of those questions, you don't have to ask them as strictly like on a sheet of paper or anything like that. Just kind of mentally kind of keep those ideas in mind. How would you react to this as a person who is who you consider to be reasonably morally virtuous? Is this in context imminently harmful or particularly morally injurious for this particular person? How would you rank the particular things that are annoying you on a scale of 1 to 10? And how would somebody outside of the situation, looking at just the facts of it without that emotional attachment, look at the problem? All right, if you like what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I need to post a new personal vlog to the Rate Me on the Amberlynn Reid scale videos, but those will actually get you, if you watch them and you rate me on the Amberlynn Reid scale, kind of rate my personal vlogs and how close I am to Amberlynn Reid in those videos. For each of those, you get an entry into a contest where you can win $25 up until July 1st, 2019. Details, of course, are in the description, so click through if you want the details on that contest. All right, thank you so much for listening. Hope you appreciate it.